I'm going to walk through the Rancilio Silvia Prox in a way that feels honest rather than hype, because buying a home espresso machine is one of those decisions where the excitement can easily eclipse the practical concerns. Most people hesitate because they're not sure if they'll actually use the extra features, if the machine will fit on a modest kitchen counter, or whether the price will be justified once the novelty fades. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. Let's break down what the Silvia Pro X really delivers in daily life, where the value comes from, and who should walk away without it. First, the category itself. Semi-automatic espresso machines that sit in the serious hobbyist range usually promise K-level temperature stability and enough steam power to froth milk for a latte. The challenge is that many of those promises translate into a steep learning curve, extra countertop space, and a habit of fiddling with settings that most home users never actually need. The Silvia Pro X tries to bridge that gap with a dual boiler design and PID temperature control. But the question is whether those tools are practical for a typical morning routine or just nice-to-have tech for the occasional enthusiast. If you already own a single boiler machine and find yourself juggling temperature swings between espresso pulls, the dual boiler is a genuine upgrade. One boiler stays locked at brew temperature while the other heats water for steam, so you can pull a shot and steam milk without waiting for the machine to switch modes. In real-world terms, that means you could make a straight espresso at 7 a.m., then switch to a cappuccino at 9 a.m. without a half-hour idle period. For families or small offices where multiple drinks are ordered back-to-back, that efficiency translates into less waiting and a smoother workflow. The PID controller adds another layer of consistency. It keeps the brew boiler within a narrow temperature band, which matters because a 1-degree swing can change extraction time by a few seconds and alter flavor balance. In practice, I've found that once the machine reaches its set point, the shot timer located on the front panel matches the timing I'm used to from my local CAF. The timer isn't a gimmick. It gives you a visual cue for when the brew is complete, which is especially handy when you're juggling a latte art session and don't want to rely purely on auditory cues. Soft Preinfusion is another feature that sounds technical but has a tangible effect. When you start the pump, the machine first applies a low pressure for a couple of seconds before ramping up to full pressure. This gentler start helps the coffee puck settle evenly, reducing channeling and often producing a smoother body. For people who have experimented with grind size and still see bitter or uneven extractions, soft Preinfusion can be the subtle tweak that turns a mediocre shot into something pleasant enough to drink without sugar. Now, let's talk about the premium stainless steel portafilter. It's larger than the standard 58mm portafilter you see on most entry-level machines, which means you can distribute the coffee grounds more evenly and achieve a more uniform tamp. In a kitchen that already has a decent grinder, the larger basket reduces the risk of overfilling, and the stainless material resists the staining that can happen with aluminum after many milk steam sessions. The downside is that you'll need a slightly larger tamper, and if you're used to a compact portafilter, you'll have to adjust your grip and stance. One of the practical strengths of the Silvia Pro X is the Auto Programmable wake-up. You can set a time for the machine to start heating up, so it's ready to go the moment you walk into the kitchen. In a household where mornings are a rush, I've set it to turn on at 6:45 a.m., and the machine is already at brewing temperature by the time I'm ready for my first cup. It eliminates the wait for the lights to come on ritual that many semi-automatic machines impose. However, the Auto feature does add a small amount of standby power draw, which might be a consideration for the eco-conscious. Where the Silvia Pro X can feel like a trade-off is in its footprint and weight. The dual boiler chassis, combined with a stainless steel housing, puts the machine at roughly 35 pounds and a base that occupies a decent chunk of counter space. If you have a tiny kitchen island or share a countertop with other appliances, you'll need to plan ahead. The machine also requires a dedicated power outlet, as the combined load of two boilers can trip a standard 15-amp circuit if you're pulling other high-draw devices at the same time. Maintenance is another realistic concern. The dual boiler system means you have two separate heating elements that need periodic descaling. Rancilio provides a decent instruction manual, but the process isn't as quick as a single boiler flush. If you live in a hard water area, you'll need to schedule descaling every few months, which can be a chore for busy people. On the flip side, the stainless portafilter and the machine's overall construction are resistant to the mineral buildup that can plague cheaper models, so the long-term durability is higher.